You got knocked off your bike, the tow truck's on the way, and the adjuster's already calling. What you do next can decide whether you ever see a dime. And in Maryland, even being 1% at fault can end your entire case, called contributory negligence, which is why every word, photo, every medical record from this moment forward matters. Hi, I'm Bobby Zirkin, a Maryland personal injury attorney. I was in the Maryland House of Delegates and the Maryland State Senate for 21 years and have been an attorney for almost 30. And I help riders build airtight claims that stand up when insurers try to push fault onto them. In this video, I will show you exactly how to protect your claim from the first second. What to say, what not to say, how to get treatment without paying up front, and the evidence that proves that you were not at fault. So you don't hand the insurance company an easy excuse. You get your medical bills covered, your bike repaired, and your lost wages paid. Understanding Maryland's motorcycle accident compensation step by step. What to do right after a motorcycle accident in Maryland. Let's start with what you should do immediately after that motorcycle accident here in the great state of Maryland. If you're watching this, you may have already been hit or you're recovering and wondering what happens next and what to do. Here's the honest truth. What you do in the first few hours and days can totally shape your chances of getting fair compensation here in Maryland. First, call 911 or the local police. Even if you think your injuries are minor or that the other driver begs you not to call, you need a police report. It's really important. In Maryland, this report is usually the first official record of the accident, and it protects you if the other driver tries to change their story later. And get medical attention right away, even if you feel okay. Adrenaline can mask serious injuries, plus insurance companies love to argue that a delay in treatment means you weren't really hurt and you're making it up. Next, take photos or have someone you trust take them. Snap a picture of your bike, the other vehicles, your injuries, the road skid marks, traffic signs, everything. Anything you can find, take a picture of it. I've seen cases where a simple cell phone photo made the difference between a denied claim and a full payout. Maryland is an at-fault state, so the more evidence you have, the stronger your case. Gather names and contact info for witnesses. Don't just rely on the police to get these details. Witnesses can disappear fast, and in Maryland, their testimony can be absolute gold if the other driver tries to blame you later down the road. Keep a journal. Write down exactly what you remember as soon as you can. Weather, time of day, what you saw, what you felt, what you heard. Memory fades over time, and these details written down can really matter in your case. Finally, do not post about the accident on social media. That can only hurt you. Insurance companies or defense lawyers can and do look for ways to use your social media posts against you. It's just not worth the risk. It can never help you. So don't do it. Figuring out who's at fault in a Maryland motorcycle crash. Maryland uses a rule called contributory negligence. I'll say this clearly. Maryland is one of the toughest states for accident victims because of this law. If you're found even 1% at fault in your crash, you can lose your right to real compensation. In fact, you can lose your right to any compensation. So what does contributory negligence mean? Let's say you were riding your motorcycle and a car turned left in front of you. They're at fault. If you were speeding, even just a little, or if you didn't have your headlights on, or anything else that the insurance company says was your fault in your driving, if those things that you did contribute at all to your own injuries, you can lose your right to recovery under contributory negligence. The tiniest of mistakes can completely wipe out your claim. That's why attention to detail is so important. When you hire a Maryland personal injury attorney, we look at every angle: road conditions, bike maintenance, driver distractions, whether the other driver was texting, or if there was a failure to yield, for example. Sometimes the other side will try to pin some blame on you just to avoid paying out. The evidence we gather is what pushes back on these claims. I had a case where a rider was hit from behind at a red light in Baltimore. The insurance company argued the motorcyclist stopped too suddenly, but because the rider had a helmet cam and we collected security footage from a nearby store, we proved they stopped at a normal speed for the light and that the insurance company was wrong. The claim was paid in full. Bottom line, in Maryland, building your case for zero fault is absolutely critical due to our law called contributory negligence. Don't assume the facts will speak for themselves. What compensation can you claim after a motorcycle accident? If you're hurt in a motorcycle accident in Maryland, the law lets you claim several types of damages. Think of these as different buckets that you may be able to fill depending on what you've lost because of the accident. First, medical expenses. This isn't just your hospital bill. It covers everything from the ambulance ride, surgery or emergency room visits, physical therapy, prescription drugs, follow-up appointments, and any medical devices you may need. If your injuries will need future treatment, we include that estimate of the costs as well, and those can be substantial. Second, lost wages and lost earning capacity. If you miss work because of the accident, you can claim for your lost income. If your injuries are so serious that you can't return to your old job or earning what you used to, we can seek compensation for that lost earning power as well. Third, pain and suffering. This kind of compensation tries to make up for the physical pain, the mental distress, lost sleep, and even the overall frustration that comes with these types of injuries. There's no exact formula here, but in Maryland, juries and insurance adjusters look at the severity of your injuries, how long you're expected to suffer, and the impact on your day-to-day life. So keeping a journal is really important on the things that you just are unable to do because of the accident. Fourth, property damage. Your motorcycle and any gear damaged in the wreck, like your helmet or jacket or phone, should also be included in the claim. It's not usually the biggest part of the claim, but you get to claim those expenses as well. And in tragic cases where there's a fatality, Maryland law allows the victim's family to claim what's called wrongful death damages. There's also something called a survival action. That can help cover funeral costs, the loss of companionship, and financial support for your loved ones. Let me give you an example. I worked with a client whose leg was broken in a motorcycle crash on Route 50 just outside of Annapolis. Their medical bills were clear, but they also missed 6 months of work and couldn't return to their construction job. We worked with a rehab specialist to calculate how much their earning power would be reduced over the next 10 years. We added pain and suffering for the surgeries and the mental toll. That claim went beyond just paying the bills. It gave my client a way forward, and we settled that case for well over $500,000. Maryland has something called a statute of limitations. For most personal injury cases, motorcycle crashes included, you have 3 years from the date of the accident to either settle your claim or file a lawsuit. If you wait too long, you lose your right to compensation, period. Statutes of limitations are not a suggestion. They are ironclad law. But, and this is big, don't wait until the last minute. The insurance company may drag out negotiations, hoping the clock will run out. The sooner you start working with an attorney, the more time you have to gather evidence, interview witnesses, and build a strong claim. There are rare exceptions. If the crash involved a government vehicle or if the victim was a minor, the rules might be different. But for most adults in most crashes, 3 years is the line in the sand. Miss it, and you're done. If you've already started an insurance claim and you're not sure where you stand, reach out for legal advice now. You don't want to find out 2 years from now that your case is dead because of a technicality. Dealing with insurance companies after a Maryland motorcycle accident. Let's talk about insurance adjusters. Their job is not to help you. Their job is to pay out as little as possible. They may sound friendly, but every question is specifically designed to get you to say something that can be used against you later in your case. They might ask for a recorded statement saying it's just routine. You are not required to give one to the other driver's insurance. In fact, you should never do that without talking to a lawyer first. Sometimes they'll offer a quick settlement, even if you're facing medical bills and missing work. First offer is almost never enough. In fact, it's never enough. It often won't cover the real cost of your injuries, especially if symptoms get worse or you need more treatment than you thought. Here's an example I see far too often. An adjuster calls, offers a couple $1,000s just to close things out, and says you'll get the money right away. You sign, cash the check, and then weeks or months later, you realize your shoulder, your knee, whatever, needs surgery. At that point, you are out of luck. The release you signed, even for that small amount of money, means you can't go back for any more. In Maryland, you have the right to consult an attorney before agreeing to anything. The insurance company may try to discourage this, but it's your case and your future at stake. Why having a Maryland personal injury attorney matters. Here's what we do for you as your attorney. We investigate the scene, collect evidence, talk to witnesses, and deal with the insurance company. We help you find doctors if you don't have one. We work with experts to calculate any future costs, not just what you've already paid. And we negotiate hard to get you the full compensation you deserve. If the insurance company refuses to be fair, we'll file a lawsuit and take it to court. In Maryland, sometimes just having a lawyer on your side makes the insurance company take your claim much more seriously. We also help you avoid common traps. For example, insurance companies will try to dig into your medical history and blame your injuries on old conditions. Or they might say your helmet wasn't up to standard, even though Maryland law only requires DOT-approved helmets. We know how to push back on those arguments. Take action now. Protect your rights. So let's wrap this up. If you've been in a motorcycle accident in Maryland, you need to act quickly. Document everything. Know your deadlines and avoid quick settlements. Remember, Maryland's laws can be tough on bikers, but with the right approach and the right help, you can win the compensation that's fair for what you've lost. If you found this video helpful, make sure you watch our next one, which is, if I can't afford medical treatment, should I accept the insurance company offer after a car accident? It's a mouthful. We'll talk about what happens if your bills are piling up and you're desperate for help, plus how to avoid mistakes that can cost you thousands in the long run. Don't miss it. Protect your rights in your future. See you over there.